Let's make a deg of Cornish chicken biryani to feed 100 people. Just a quick warning that this entire process is around 5 hours. So let's look for ways to save time so you don't have to spend the entire day cooking. Start off by washing, peeling and cutting 7 kgs of potatoes and 2 kgs of onions. Biryani dal can take hours to boil on a fire. So boil 1 kg on a gas or electric stove. Once the biryani dal boils to a point where it's soft to touch, remove it, strain it, and then rinse it once again. In a separate pot, add in 2 liters of oil to fry your onions. Once your tester onions start to sizzle, add in all your onions. And make sure you have somebody watching the onions because burnt onions is a problem. Now let's bring in the pots and let's wash and rinse the both of them. Now let's add handy Andy to the outside of your pots. This will ensure the flames don't blacken your pot. To remove, just add water and rub it off. You can also use water and sand. If you're cooking on the outside fire, you're going to need 25 bundles of firewood. You'll notice we also added a layer of sand, and this is to protect the cement yard from being damaged with the heat of the fire. Start your fire and get 1 pot ready for the rice. Add in about 75 liters of water to cook your rice. Wash and rinse your Cornish chicken pieces at least 3 times. If you're purchasing from Chatsworth Superspar, they'll even cut it into curry pieces for you. While we're waiting for your rice water to boil, let's start the next fire. Add your washed chicken to the pot and then your pot to the fire. Make sure you're stirring the meat on a regular basis because it can get caught at the bottom and then you have problems. Now we got to add in the fried onions. Please don't forget about this. We want crispy onions, not burnt ones. And the oil you use to fry this, don't discard it because it's going directly into the chicken. Besides recycling, you're also giving that chicken that lovely onion flavor. Add in around 400 grams of ginger garlic into your chicken. Make sure you're adding it in portions. And around 3 to 400 grams of coarse or rough salt. Add in more or less salt depending on your own personal taste. Let's go in with 3 cans of tomato puree followed by a 1 kg double cream yogurt. It's time for spices, so start off with 25 grams of black peppercorn, 10 grams of clove, 50 grams of crushed chilies, 75 grams of turmeric powder, 25 grams of elaichi powder, 100 grams of dhania powder, another 100 grams of jeera powder, 50 grams of cinnamon powder, and finally 250 grams of chili powder. You can add more if you want it to be spicy. And now let's add in some greens. Single bunches of dhania or coriander, mint and thyme. Make sure to slice them up into smaller portions so they easily mix into the curry. And now get your spoon and let's mix this thing thoroughly to ensure all the ingredients are covered in those spices. Now that all your spices are in, we're going to keep constant tabs on your curry to ensure it's not burning. Grab a knife, pierce the meat. If it goes through smoothly, it means your meat is almost cooked and it's time to add in the potatoes. That orange color is because we added 25 grams of egg yellow. Grab a spoon and let's coat those potatoes in the curry. Make sure you level up your potatoes and your meat so it cooks evenly. Once you see the rice water boiling, add in 400 grams of salt. Let's start washing 7 kgs of basmati rice. You'll need to wash and strain this rice at least 3 times before adding it to the pot. Now that your rice is boiling, let's go back to the curry. This is the color we're looking for. And now we're going to add 2 blocks of rama into the curry. Cut them into portions and then place them strategically across the whole pot. When you get your spoon, you're not stirring. All you're doing is pushing the rama into spaces between potatoes and meat. This is how you know your potatoes are cooked, when the knife goes smoothly through. If your rice is soft to the touch, then that's also ready to be strained. And now let's add in the biryani dal that you boiled earlier. Don't just dump it in, make sure you're going portion at a time. Now let's bring in those onions that you fried earlier. Same process as the biryani dal, place it all across the pot. And what you're seeing Uncle Rashid do here with the spoon is actually guide the onions and the biryani dal to the bottom of the pot so it soaks in that curry. We are almost at the finish line, so let's bring in that rice. Flatten out your rice, and this way your rice is on top and your curry is at the bottom. Now let's close your pot and we're going to add firewood to the top of your lid. But why are we doing this? Well, that's because if there's any excess water inside the pot, this process will help evaporate that. If you're cooking at home on your stove, you can achieve the same results by putting your closed pot into your oven for a short period of time on low heat. For a very limited time, Uncle Rashid's Cornish chicken biryani was available at Chatsworth Superspar. Special shout out to our host, Mr. Mervin. And this segment of Cooking with Uncle Rashid is proudly brought to you by Chatsworth Superspar.